Love is a really popular thing to talk about in our world. Movies, music, books, it's everywhere. But what is it? What is love? What does that mean? Today, we're going to take a look at a passage in First Corinthians that talks about what love is and what it looks like from a Christian perspective. So stick with me, and we'll get into it in a minute. Welcome to Walking in the Word, a weekly devotional from Beacon Church. My name is Pastor Josh, and today we are going to be taking a look at love. So what is love? What do we think about when we hear the word love? I think for a lot of people, what we think about most commonly is romance, right? We think about our boyfriend or our girlfriend, our fiance, our wife, or our husband, and sort of how we feel about people that we are in a romantic relationship with, right? It's this emotional response to another person that we care about. Another way we commonly use the word love is for like inanimate objects. I love pizza, I love The Office, I love to go for walks, that kind of thing. And neither one of those uses really captures what love is or what it should look like, right? One's sort of this vague, sort of nebulous emotional response, and another one is just a way of saying you really like something. I don't love pizza the way I love my wife or love my kids, because that would be ridiculous. I do really like pizza a lot, so I say I love pizza as a way to express that, but that's not really what we're talking about. Fortunately for us, in 1 Corinthians 13, Paul gives us a little snapshot of some characteristics of love. So starting in verse 4, it says this: love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. So Paul lists out these characteristics of love, and it's right in the center of the chapter. And before that, Paul is talking about, if I have achieved all of these great things, if I can move mountains, if I can speak in other languages, if I can prophesy, if I can do all these things, but I'm not doing them while I love other people, they're meaningless. And after this, he talks about how all of those things will eventually pass away. Prophecy will pass away. Our lives will pass away. The things we do in this world will pass away. They're not eternal. But three things will remain: faith, hope, and love. And he's making this point that if we're not engaging in life by loving other people, the things we're doing aren't really going to be that meaningful. And as a way to help us understand how to love people, he has this 3-verse section where he tells us what it looks like. It's being patient, it's being kind, it's not being jealous, it's not being proud, it's not keeping a record of wrongs or being easily angered with other people. In all of these things, right? In our lives, in America at least, again, we often view love as this romantic, emotional, mushy thing, but really in reality, love is a choice. It's a set of actions that we have to choose to do. Being patient isn't just something that wells up from within us automatically. It's a choice we have to make. I have to choose to be patient with my kids. I have to choose to be patient with my wife, to choose to be patient with my friends. I have to choose to not keep a record of wrongs, to forgive them and to put those things behind us. I have to choose to be kind. These things are actions. Paul is calling us to act. He's telling us if we want to achieve the things we're called to in our faith, the things we are called to by God, we need to be making choices and taking action. We need to be interacting with other people in an intentional way, a loving way. And that requires choice and it requires action. And as I was performing this wedding, I performed a wedding over the weekend, and as I was doing that, I was encouraging the couple who got married and the rest of the married folks who were present to remember that in a marriage context, love is a choice. You choose that person every day. You wake up and choose each day to commit yourself to that person. to do the things that Paul is saying with that person. Each day you have to make that choice. And in America, when we look around, we can see that falling apart and people making different choices. And we see the repercussions of that because they're not acting the way Paul says to act. They're not making the choices Paul says to make here. They're not being kind and being patient. They're not forgiving. They're not being humble. So what I want to encourage everyone to do today is, as you are going around and you're interacting with your friends and your family and your kids and your coworkers, choose to be loving. Take a minute as you're having your lunch or taking a break from work and read this chapter. Remind yourself that love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It doesn't demand its own way. It's not irritable. It keeps no record of wrong. Remind yourself of these things as you're interacting with the people around you, and choose to be loving. Choose to do the things that Paul is asking us to do and telling us we need to do. I will be working on that today, and hopefully you will be too. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next week.